You're listening to the Options Insider Radio Network. For more quality options programs, visit www.theoptionsinsider.com or search for Options Insider Radio Network in your podcast provider of choice. Listeners can also access all of our programming through our mobile app, available in iTunes and on Google Play.
And now, it's time for the show that breaks down the options market from unusual activity alerts to market analysis, strategy overviews, listener questions, and much more. If it involves puts and calls, then our all-star panel will break it down. It's time to hit the Option Block with your host, Mark Longo from the Options Insider Media Group, and co-hosts, Uncle Mike Tosaw from St. Charles Wealth Management, along with Andrew the Rock Lobster Giovinazzi from OptionFit.com. Old trading walks into a bar. New trading raises it. That's Tasty Trade. Keep focused with news feeds that matter. See opportunity differently in analysis mode. Chart your heart out with over 300 indicators. Plus, you can get low pricing, lots of education, and a support team that really gets how traders trade. It's no wonder Investopedia named Tasty Trade the best broker for options in 2024. Genius loves company. Go to tastytrade.com/podcasts and see for yourself. Tasty Trade Incorporated is a registered broker-dealer and member of FINRA, NFA, and SIPC. And now, get ready to hit the Option Block.
All right, everybody, that music means we are back. It is Monday, time to commence your broadcast week with us and your trading week. Hope you're off to a good start in both. My name, of course, Mark Longo from the OptionsInsider.com. Reminding you, if you're not subscribed to the full network, wherever you get your favorite podcast, make sure you hit that button. And of course, speaking of hitting buttons, make sure you're hitting the button on the OptionsInsider.com/pro. That's the place to go to learn more about all the fun we have cooking over there. Pro Q&As, options oddities, giveaways, and a whole bunch more. Real exclusives. The OptionsInsider.com/pro is the place to go as we learn who's joining us on the old Monday show. Of course, it's the dynamic duo of the uncleest of Mikes, Mr. Uncle Mike Tosaw from St. Charles Wealth Management, as well as by the rockingest of lobsters, Mr. Andrew Giovinazzi from OptionPit.com. I introduce them both now, listeners, because they are busy preparing themselves. Their corners are oiling them up. They're getting ready to go. They got their spit buckets out. They got their robes off. They're ready to do battle because it is time for the 80s Trivia Challenge. Here we go. What a soothing bit of generic trivia music. I just listen to this all day. It's very soothing.
I'm not hearing it, sadly.
Oh, you're not?
Neither am I.
We're all rocking out to the non-licensed.
That's all that matters.
Non-licensed
as long
trivia.
As the listeners are happy.
I don't know what.
Who cares about Tucson?
I don't know what crack you two are smoking. Uncle Mike's still riding high from his big victory over the weekend, but we'll get there in a little bit. First,
congratulations on your victory, Tosaw.
Thank you, sir.
All right, it is Uncle Mike's show right now because he gets to choose as our reigning loser in chief. I have the card in front of me. There is no wrist wrestling, I have confirmed. But this is this just shows how long ago I just happened to see one of these questions, and I was like, this shows when the era that these questions were written in. I'm just gonna say. But anyway, go ahead, Uncle Mike, pick your color.
See, how come you never called Andrew our resident loser when back in... Anyway. Alrighty, I'll go with sports and leisure.
Oh, he did. He did.
I had all kinds of fun words for him, especially when I came up with a special Bob Villa trivia question for him, and he flubbed that one too.
Yeah. I couldn't remember if it was Norm or Bob Villa. That was the problem.
All right, Mr. Uncle Mike, get your hand on your buzzer. Mr. Rock Lobster, too. This is an interesting one. What sport did Mr. Moto, Lou Tez, and Big Daddy Lipscomb star in? All right, Uncle Mike, I see you're buzzing. What you got for us?
I gotta go with professional wrestling with names like that.
Of course. I was kind of, I think I vaguely heard of Lou Tez, but T-H-E-S-Z. I think that's how you pronounce that.
I almost, but you know what? The fact that the only thing he's gotten right in like 5 months is a wrestling question, I just, even though I believe he is now theoretically out of any chance to win this contest,
I do like that they back in the 80s they called it a sport. What sport? Because in the 80s it was real. Hulk Hogan was real, baby. Ultimate Warrior was real.
Mr. Moto. I mean,
Not Mr. Moto. If they said, Mr. Fuji, okay, but Mr. Moto? Yeah, that's a weird one.
I'll tell you what. When it's stumping the wrestling guys, but congratulations, Mike. You have a double victory over the last 3 days.
What made me laugh, though, was the geography question. What's the capital of East Germany? Because it still existed when they wrote this card.
Well, I guess we could have hit Berlin, but
it had to be East Berlin. You wouldn't count just Berlin. You would have lost points, sir.
Yeah, I probably would have just said Berlin. Yeah.
All right.
Swooped in. It was his to win today.
It was. The trivia gods smiled upon him as we smiled upon the trading block.
It's time to break down the latest topics, trades, and trends in the world of options. It's time for the trading block.
All right, everybody, welcome to the trading block. Our chat's loving the sweet, sweet, unlicensed tunes. Yes, sweet, sweet, unlicensed, nondescript, trivia-themed music. I can listen to it for hours. It is indeed very, very soothing. These markets are looking pretty soothing today, especially if you're in the Uncle Mike cabal. You definitely got your notice over the weekend to put in some buy orders for the overnight futures because we're seeing the S&P up 1.3%, the Dow up 0.5%, NASDAQ up a little over 2, about 2.05% right now, and VIX cash back below the 18 handle. So was at an 18 coming in to start the show, pretty close to it. That puts it down 1.5 points. It has now retreated another 1/4 of a point, so down to about 17 3/4. Puts it down 1 3/4 points from the Thursday show. VVIX was at the par strike right coming into the show, puts it 100. That's down 7 points from where we were on Thursday. If I rack it right now, it's down to about a 99, so down 1 more point. That puts it down about 8 points from where it was on the Thursday show. As it seems like, at least for right now, the shutdown is hopefully coming to an end. The one that our audience correctly predicted, with a slight majority, but correctly predicted that would be the longest government shutdown in history. Hopefully that is coming to an end out here, and we're seeing saner, calmer, cooler heads prevailing. And speaking of saner, calmer, cooler heads, he was that today. He is the uncleist of Mike's, Mr. Uncle Mike Tosaw. First off, Uncle Mike, if you want to share any words about not just your trivia victory today, but of course your rousing, I don't know if it was a come from behind, but a hard fought victory over the weekend heading into the later rounds of the playoffs, by all means. And then B, I think you have some thoughts about 80s professional wrestling, if not for these characters like Mr. Moto or Mr. Moto. And then C, what's catching your eye in another cabal day.
I think I have a vague memory of researching Mr. Motu in my wrestling almanac as a kid. But that's about all I got. Those were not typical 80s names by any means.
You think in the 80s they would have put, like, I don't know, Bruno Sammartino, some of those other big names from like the 60s in then, not whatever those guys were. Yeah.
Yeah, I seriously have not. Those were not big names, but that's why I guess it's in the trivia contest. So, and then this past weekend, we were able to beat Carmel Catholic of Mundelein 26-23, and arguably some of the worst weather I've ever experienced, 39 degrees and raining 100% of the evening. It was truly miserable.
Great for the passing and kicking game, I'm assuming.
Oh, well, I'll tell you what. So it helped us from the standpoint that their quarterback is a verbal commit to Nebraska. Great player, but he's typically putting up 50, 60 points on his opponents, but the rain definitely did not help him. And our kicker is actually a verbal commit to Iowa State. And this kid's legit. He literally kicked a 40-yard field goal against the wind in the rain in 39 degrees, and it would have been good from 50 or 60 yards. So, I mean, it was a very hard-fought game.
The kid's got a boot.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. This kid, normally I don't say this from high school kids, but he's a kicker and he's a punter. He could potentially play in the big leagues one day, just with what he looks like. He's 6'7", 250 pounds. He played tackle for me last year, but He's just such a proficient kicker.
He's an enormous punter and kicker.
Oh yeah, I've never seen a kid just take control of a whole stadium as a punter. It's just the weirdest thing. It's like Andre the Giant coming out to punt is what it looks like.
Well, there you go. If you're a high school team with any sort of functioning kicking game, I think you have a leg up, pun intended.
No doubt at all. So anyway, with these markets, the big news, of course, it looks like we might be coming to an end at the shutdown. You never know. Different things can happen and they can change their mind, I suppose. I saw the Senate approved it. I've not seen if the House has or not. I've not checked my news as much today, but maybe that's in the realm. I'm not sure. The other big news that I thought was interesting is that we might be getting a $2,000 tariff dividend. I mean, don't get me wrong. I prefer getting the money over some type of special interest if that's the case. But the reality is that really doesn't stop spending. It just at least puts money back into the private sector. So I guess that part's good. But it is what it is. So it'll be interesting to see if we get the $2,000 Christmas bonuses, if you will, from the tariffs, as they say.
And now, is that a dividend on our 10% collective stake at Intel? Is that what we're getting?
Yeah, it's definitely the terms that we are using right now on an investment program are just, if you could just hear this 15, 20 years ago, you're getting a tariff dividend. Oh, the government owns all this stake in all these companies. So definitely crazy times to say the least, but can't complain. At least if you're a bull today, up 1.3%. We're roughly 2% off of the all-time highs. So we still have a little ways to go if we want to get to where we're going to get to. The other thing that I'm seeing today is the shiny stuff is rallying, silver and gold. So maybe that means that we're in a spot to where we're afraid of inflation again. So that's something else to keep a look at. Bonds are unusually quiet today. So we're definitely flat in terms of, or pretty close to flat in terms of the 10-year as well as the 30-year. If you just want to take a look at ticker symbol IEF and TLT, if you're not into the bond quotes, we're relatively flat. We pretty close to exactly flat with both of those across the board. So they apparently don't have an opinion on anything that's happening. In terms of some individual names that are lighting up the tape for me, Microsoft is back over the 500 mark again, up 1.5% on the day. The fruit company's up slightly on the day. We have Taiwan Semiconductor up over 3% on the day. So apparently Taiwan Semiconductor likes the fact that we're not being shut down. And of course, the big dogs that we always have to take a look at on higher market days. Palantir up 8% back to 193, and NVIDIA up to 196 on the day today, up 4% on the day. So getting some big movers, and that is what I'm seeing.
All right, out to the hinterlands of Maine we go. I'm glad to see the rock lobster has survived another dire winter weekend there. Clam pirates and other assorted ne'er-do-wells besetting him on all sides. I'm not sure if you saw Once and Future Dr. Vicks betraying us all by sharing that screenshot of our fantastic hats from Volviews. It was it was pretty fun. But I digress. Mr. If you know what I'm talking about, check out Volatility Views. You should be subscribed to the full network. That's what I'm telling you. But Mr. Rock Lobster, what's catching your eye out there today?
Yeah, it was a fun Volview shows on Friday. We had Bill Luby stepping out from the way back time.
Yeah, since 2017, I think he hasn't been on.
With many hats. Well, yeah, you could say I feel like the $2,000 tariff benefit for everybody, well, let's just call it specious at best. And I don't know if that was real or a suggestion, but it's almost like if the Supreme Court are going to take the tariffs away, he's going to write a check to everybody really fast so they can't get the money back. Which would be not unusual for our current president. However, the shutdown, I don't know what it did. The party wanted more spending for their priorities, and for once in the last 5 years, they didn't get what they wanted. So we'll see what happens. But the fact that we're going to go take money and then just go blow it on, $2,000 checks is, again, I guess if we don't do that, we spend it somewhere. It doesn't pay down the debt anyway.
It's the definition of populism, Mr. Rock Lobster. How can you buy votes if you don't buy votes?
I know. Well, you know what? I guess every party buys their votes in their own way.
Yes, exactly.
So
you're finally waking up to that realization. They all buy the votes.
I've been awake to the realization. It's just there's a certain amount of admitting it. Like when you go out and just say, "I'm going to give you $2,000," that's one thing. When you do things kind of surreptitiously under the night and then claim it's not happening, that's a different story.
What if we all get this dividend as a special dividend on DJT stock? Now that would be interesting.
Yes. Now, if he just gives everybody some Melania coin crypto, then we know what's going on. But and I think that was part of the shutdown. Unless you're under a rock, you know where a lot of this spending is going, whether it's been good or bad. It's clear, the U.S. can't afford it because we are running massive deficits to do these things. So at some point, maybe politicians will actually try and balance the budget again, like they did 25 years ago now. Hard to believe that was the last time. So, I think overall then the markets like it as a win. And we're still kind of in the AI bullish mode. So, and there's a little uncertainty around the Supreme Court, around the tariff thing. Generally, as I recall, the Supreme Court does not like getting into foreign policy type stuff like that too much, where they can avoid it, at least historically. So this would be a change, I believe, anyway, in a court precedent. But doesn't mean it can't happen. And then overall, we had pretty good earnings cycle last time. And, unless I'm doing this wrong, all the big tech stocks are still up there. I would say, though, the shiny stuff, everybody for a while, they're like, okay, this inflation thing is not, but now all of a sudden everybody's back in the metals. So they're back. All today, I think GDX is trading at a 1-year high. I don't know if it's an all-time high, but I think it is a 1-year high today. And to be honest, shows no signs really of slowing down. Let me see here. Oh, yeah. So our high in GDX is right into the middle of the shutdown, or I guess that was the Z dust up. We were trading 85 GDX. So at this point, is there anything to stop it from getting back up there? And I'm looking now here. Yeah, gold still has a way to run back over $400, at least GLD. So I think the gold bugs will be back. The $2,000 stimmy check, as I recall, everybody loves those stimmy checks over the last 5 years. I think Donald even invented the stimmy check, if I'm not mistaken, or the term. No, it was George Bush II. I remember he sent out like a $500 check or something during the Iran-Iraq war, the Iraq invasion. Anyway, be that as it may. None of this money is free. It all has to be borrowed, and that's why gold is going higher. The U.S. still works. Companies are doing very well. But is that getting down to the consumer? I'm not sure. I think the jury's still out. My closet theory is there's a giant wealth transfer going on as we speak from the boomers to the next generation. I guess that would be X, which somehow is dampening some of this. But that doesn't mean that housing, starting houses, starting rents, all this kind of stuff is still pretty expensive. So we'll see how the cookie crumbles, but it didn't take long for the Democrats to crumble after the elections were over. So I don't know. There might have been some cause and effect there. Color me, put my tinfoil hat on. Maybe that was part of the game, but anyhow, that's what we have currently. But I'm personally not that big fan of the the stimmy check, just because it just shows there's still no lack of discipline at all, and government spending is still pretty pathetic.
Yeah, all kinds of fun going on in the government. We'll put all that aside for now. Let's just go on into all of the fun here in the markets, because there is some fun out there, even on a green day. Not normally a day when VIX is putting up the crazy numbers, but VIX looking decent today. Now, we've been fooled by this before recently. VIX, this time of the show, hitting 500,000 or more contracts, north of halfway to its ADV. Okay, looks like it's going to be a hot, spicy day. Maybe we're going to hit that nearly 1 million ADV, which is 968 right now, by the way. That's a spicy meatball in VIX land when VIX is averaging that much flow. But I digress. And then, second half of the session, it's like, and we end up the day with 602,000 contracts, something like that. So we'll see. Tune into the hot options report at the end of the day to see how VIX finishes up. But right now, looking robust, looking strong, 511,000 contracts on the tape out there. The hot option out there, by the way, today, the Nove 18 puts. Looks like it's part of maybe a 1x2 put spread, but the Nove 18 puts are the ones we're kind of drilling in on. I'm not as interested in the 21.5 puts. That's a pretty meaty put, but 18 put also can be argued as fairly meaty. Average price today, 71 cents, which raises the question, are you folks down for that? Are you a buyer or sold to you? This just went live, a flash poll right now. Looks like 100% of the early voters want to buy those bad boys. So that'll be running throughout the rest of the day. You folks on the podcast can play along later today as well. We'll come back later in the show and check in, see how that's unfolding. SPY looking pretty robust as well. 6.75 million contracts already. That is a lot of paper for this time of the show. Usually we're hanging out 4, 4.25, 4.5, maybe 5, maybe 5.5 if things are wild. 6.75. SPY is a pretty far along the path to its ADV, which is just a tick under 10 million right now, 9.9 million. The S also looking pretty robust right now, 2.8 million contracts on the tape. The ADV about 4.4 million. And then small caps, they've kind of been the hidden gem of this action of late, just putting up numbers, putting up volume and volatility, putting up the combo that people like to see out there. So small caps have been delivering on both fronts of late. Coming in today, small caps 1.36 million. By the way, IWM up about 1.2% right now. So leading the charge to the upside as well, or pretty close to it. And the ADV 1.86 million contracts on the tape right now for IWM. So a hot day, a spicy day in IWM. Looks like they're on path to hit their ADV as well, unless, again, the second half of the session falls out of bed. The Q's also looking spicy, and now we were kind of biased last week. End of last week, we saw the Q's this time of the show already at about 5 million contracts. That was wild. That was one of the spiciest days in Q options history. Not quite there today, but still pretty freaking hot. Usually this time of show, we used to expect 2.25 million. 3.75 million contracts already on the tape, and that was as of a few minutes ago. I'm sure if I re-racked it right now, it might even be more. Almost 4 million, 3.9 million contracts right now, listeners. So the Q's definitely on pace to hit their ADV unless they completely shut down second half of the session. That ADV continuing to grow right around 5.2 million contracts out there. Now, is it a super spicy day on the single name front? Lately, when we've been seeing these banger macro days, the single names have kind of been the land that time forgot. But today, they're looking north of respectable, I would say. It's clear of our barometer, our threshold for respectability, which is 350,000. Right now, we're hanging out at 374 to break into the top 10. So again, a very respectable day. And this gets us to our old pal. I don't know if it's our old pal. It's kind of one of our newer names. Kind of one of the weirdo ones. This is Ast. Are you an Ast if you buy this? I don't know. But it is Strive. Strive Inc. Striving back for some upside today. 156 up a nickel. This is yet another of these quote-unquote Bitcoin treasury names. This strategy is becoming, shall we say, crowded. This one has a political component to it too. So you're combining cryptos and politics in all sorts of fun ways, and it combines to $1.56 for Strive out there today. Number 10. Number 9, out to the Amazonians we go as well. Amazon 248.5, up $4.13, or about 1.7%. putting up 404,000 contracts for the number 9 spot. Number 8, the artist formerly known as Facebook, Meta, coming in, gaining again, getting some green on the screen. Haven't seen that in a little while in Meta. 633.19 right now, up about $11.50 or nearly 2%, about 1.85%. So gaining back nearly 2%. This thing is still just on a drubbing. Of course, from its low, looks like the low on Friday was 603. So it has rallied 30 handles from that low. That intraday second half rally on Friday, pretty much right after vol views, right after we took off the hats on vol views. And by the way, if you haven't found Mr. Russell Rhodes' screenshot of us all wearing our hats on vol views on Friday, you are missing out on some good vol living out there, listeners. Leave it to Russell to surreptitiously take a screenshot of all of us out there. But it was silly nonetheless. Couldn't find a good hat. All I had, weirdly enough, in the studio, listeners, was a Burger King crown. I don't even know where that came from. But you know what? It fit the show. But right now, Meta was, we're going into its earnings, 751. So still down about 120 handles from that level, but gaining back some of the luster out there today. Number 8, Meta, 406,000 contracts on the tape. Number 7, the Fruit Company, 270 exactly. So back up to that strike. It's been kind of vacillating around for a while. Forget 260, blew right through 260. Didn't even look back. 270, it's been kind of vacillating around, up about $1.70 or 0.2% today. So a little bit of green on the screen in Apple. Apple was also a weird one last week, and everything was selling off. There were several days and sessions when Apple was still up about $1 and change. So Apple's been kind of bucking the trend of late. Speaking of bucking the trend, number 6, SoFi, getting back north of the 30 handle. This is another one. It's been vacillating around that 30 handle for a little bit. It's north of it, gives it all up. Back again today, $30.65, up about $2.50 or 8 2/3%. Good for number 6, 452. All the way up to number 5, and we're just about at 500,000 contracts, 498,000 for number 5. Gets us to our old pal Open Door. Looks like the door is open again and open. My goodness, 768, just ticked down a bit. 752 now, up about $1. Nearly 15% though. This is another one, I guess, is open back. At least for today it is. Any of you folks out there still slinging open? Are you loving some of these, the Asts and the Opens of the world? Some of these wild names that kind of just vacillate around on absolutely nothing? Well, then maybe Open is your huckleberry out there. I'm going to guess, I haven't looked at it. I'm sure we'll see it later on today for the hot options. I'm going to guess if we're hanging out, at around 7.5, then probably the 8s, maybe 7.5s, probably leading the dance out here. We shall find out later today on the hot options report. When we get there, listeners, as we keep on rolling to number 4, AMD. Again, you can tell it's kind of light when number 4 is only 503,000 contracts. That ain't a heck of a lot of paper for the number 4 spot. That gets us to AMD. Also roaring back to life today, up 12 1/3 or 5.25%, 245.89. So good rally here for AMD, gaining back a good chunk of what they lost. Over the last week or so, they're still off about 2% or 4.5 handles, but they have also rebounded off their lows. 225 was their low on Friday, so they're up pretty much exactly 20 handles from that low print on Friday. Number 3, Uncle Mike's favorite holding out here. This is Palantir. My goodness, up 16 handles or 9%. Trading 194 pretty much exactly out there today. Putting up 916,000 contracts. This is the name that just, if you like some action, if you like some intraday whipsaws, even on otherwise quiet days in the market, then Palantir is your huckleberry. You will not be bored trading Palantir, that is for sure. Number 2 today, Tesla. They sold off hard after they got Musk's package squared away on Friday. They got down to about 424.25. Hanging out today, rallying back $16.50 to where they closed on Friday. So that puts them at 446 exactly, up about 3.85%. For the number 2 spot, Tesla. This is another one, if you've been trading it lately, 420 handle, 430, 440, 450, 460, 470s. We've seen all these handles in play out here of late. So another one, you're not bored if you're slinging it. And then the big dog back in its spot, it's NVIDIA, 1.75 million contracts. 197.25, up a little over 9, about 915, or nearly 5% to the upside today. So wild stuff. This one's still off over 5 handles, 5 2/3 handles, nearly 3% on the week. That said, it did bounce off its nadir. It hit 180. Got down to 180 on Friday. That's wild. So has rallied 17.25 handles from that low on Friday. That's our number one big boy out here. And you know what, listeners? If you're in for some wild meme names out here, listeners, then, man, you got some action this week on the earnings front. Let's say you want to get a little quantum crazy. Then how about Rigetti after the bell today? That's always a wild one. How about CoreWeave? I'll give you your Rigetti, and I'll double down on CoreWeave on top of it after the bell today as well. And if that's not enough wild, insane meme kid action for you, throw in TerraWolf while you're at it. All three of those popping off after the bell. If you're hanging out with the meme crew, or just the quantum crew, or just the crazy crew, you got something to play today. Oh, lest I forget, AST, not ASST, AST, good old AST Space Mobile. What is it today? Official meme earnings day? My goodness. Oh, you got some fun after the bell today, listeners. So yeah, Rigetti, CoreWeave, AST Space Mobiles, and one of the wolves, not Wolf Speed, my favorite, but my second favorite wolf, TerraWolf. My goodness, you've got, Plug Power looks like they're after the bell today as well. What are we doing? It's too much fun for one day. Let's spread it out, listeners. But today, a wild one on the earnings front. Tomorrow, a name that's kind of been beset by problems of late. Lighten up the options tape. This is Beyond Meat. Wednesday, Uncle Mike's favorite name of all time, Cisco. Thursday, some company called Disney. I'm not familiar with them. And Friday, and also AMAT's on Thursday as well. And then we got some Spire, if you're really excited about Spire on Friday. I'm still distracted by the hot names popping off after the bell today. That is a wild one out there for you. Listen, you know what? Because we like you, we've got some earnings move results, and earnings. And you know what? I need to break these down really quickly because these are some wild ones. How often do we get to break down CoreWeave and Rigetti for you? And how often do you get data on those names completely for free? Because we like you. Head on over to the website. TheOptionsInsider.com is the place to go. CoreWeave! They were at 104 exactly when we ran this report this morning. They were pricing in $13.46. In the past, they've moved $12.14. So they're pricing in more juice. I guess they got the memo. More juice is the answer lately these days. The Wolf. What is the Wolf up to out here? $13.94 when we ran this report. They were pricing in about $1.50. In the past, they have moved about $1. So pretty much 50% more juice on top for the other wolf, aka TerraWolf. That is wild out there. Let's see, they're already trading $14.70 today, up 70. So they've rallied since we did this report. But $1.50, you could argue that's chicken feed, or maybe think that's too much. Either way, the wolf waiting to bare its teeth after the bell, listeners. Oh, I didn't even mention Circle. Well, that's coming up later. Let's skip on that one for that's. If Greg was on here from the Crypto Rundown, he'd be mad at me already for neglecting his favorite Circle. Let's just see if we have some of these others here. I don't know if we have. I might have Rigetti. I have to just scroll to find it. There's so many. Listen, let's go out to Disney on 13th. 110.75 is where it was trading. They're pricing in about $7. In the past, they've moved $7.31. So a little bit less action out there. Let me see if I can find. I can't. It's here somewhere. Listen, I'll have to look and see after the show to find our beloved Rigetti. Oh, AST Space Mobiles. Are they on there too? Let's just look really quickly. Oh, there's so many. Here it is. AST is on this list. Yes, AST's $69.19 when we ran this report. They were pricing in. Perhaps discounts abound, listeners. AST's was pricing in $8.86. You might say it sounds like madness, and perhaps it does, but in the past they moved nearly $14. So AST's might be the deal of a lifetime when it comes to earnings vol, listeners. Or it could be the screaming sale of the century. Wow, just so many fun names still to go. If you're not finding something you can sink your teeth into out here, maybe Jumia. We were just talking about this one on Options Oddities on Friday. They are the 12th before the bell, $10.89. You know, the African logistics company, listeners. Trading or pricing, I should say, about $2. In the past, they moved $2.25. So pretty close to in line with their recent earnings out here as well. I mean, I could do this the rest of the show, but there's a lot for you to sink your teeth into. TheOptionsInsider.com. You also usually tweet them out via @options on Twitter so you folks can see all this data there for yourselves as well. Right now, the season hanging out 113%. Week 3 was good, but not quite the bangers of week 1 and week 2. And our long-term average hanging out at 102%. But now we got to keep on rolling. It is time to get odd. And what's odder than welcoming on the Rock Lobster for a little bit of the Odd Block?
It's time to break down the most interesting, unusual, and downright questionable options activity that's been identified by theoptionsinsider.com. It's time for the Odd Block.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Odd Block. Time to get weird, time to get wild. Let's kick it off. What name is weirder or wilder than Comcast Corp? A lot going on here. Comcast, let me try to say that again. Comcast USA Corp. Say that 5 times fast. All right, listeners, let's get out here. What do we find in good old, let's just call them Comcast for clarity's sake. Comcast right now, $27.16, off about 20 cents today, so not a huge day for them today. On the year, though, it has been a just absolute dumpster fire, off 17 handles exactly, or 38.5%. Wow, pretty much just straight down here for Comcast, even though there obviously have been some bright spots out here along the way this year, but not enough apparently to stem the bleeding out here. And what do we spot out here, Mr. Rock Lobster and good old Comcast? It looks like maybe a pretty sizable collar, or maybe if someone's going crazy cakes, maybe it's a size strangle. We spotted this morning 136,000 of the D's expiring on the 26th. So these are pretty much end of month. They are 1 week after traditional expiration, listeners. 26, also 26 puts. So 136,000 of the 26 puts expiring on December 26th. We went back and looked, and there was also about 112,000, so a bit of a ratio of the D's 28 calls. Now, these went up for a little bit more. That's probably why the ratio is lighter. These went up for 86 cents, or 84 versus 86 cents. I haven't worked it out, but I'm sure if you do, it's probably close to a zero-cost collar, potentially. In which case, it looks like a collar, maybe it quacks like a duck. Now, that said, the markets on both of these were kind of atrocious, and they executed towards the offer for both. Now, read into these executions, obviously, with a grain of salt when you're talking spreads, because there could be tight underlying legs. There could be many things that gum up the execution, so you can't just look at a giant spread and say, oh, they lifted the offer on both. They definitely bought it. But that said, there could be an argument for it. I don't know if you want to have a size strangle in Comcast right now, buy at that much premium. But hey, we've seen weirder things out here for good old Comcast. Mr. Rock Lobster, what are your thoughts on this? Do you think it's a massive collar, or do you think someone's just really rolling the bones on Comcast vol today? By the way, they have earnings, but not in the lifespan of these options. The next earnings announcement is on January 29th, so about a month after. This is not some big play around earnings. So, Mr. Rock Lobster, you down for a pretty much a collar on Comcast? What are you feeling right now? So these 26 puts, given today's action and the recent action, may not be looking that bad in a little bit.
Yeah, I'm looking. I think it appears that they just bought a strangle, and the put volume was more scattered. They're saying it's a block, 2 blocks, paying 84 and 85 cents. The puts they don't look very good today. Because they're trading 69, and it appears they paid 84.85. So that's not a win. And the call side, let's see here. Our call side, yeah, they paid 86 cents for 100,000, and they're so. If anything, the stock is up from where they bought the strangle, but there's a little bit of extra crush on the puts. They put a little a little orange crush on those puts. So, yeah, earnings have just come out. I don't think it's a badly priced strangle. I think it's hard to make any real money on it. Because really, to make any money, Comcast would have to do something. And it just traded at a 1-year low. Maybe you get something out of the puts. It's not my favorite position because buying a strangle in like a telecom company like this is tough. Unless there's a corporate action or they're coming up with some, it's a hard one, I would say. So I wish them luck, but they are down a little bit of money so far on this trade. Day number one, you buy 100,000 contracts and you're down. See, I see them in there. They were in for $1.70 trading 65 and 90, $1.55. So they're down 150. What is that? $150,000 already on 100,000 contracts.
That's an ouchie.
Yeah, it feels like it should be more, right? 100,000 contracts, you're down 15 cents a contract. I guess it is. I guess that is 150,000. But yeah, it's no bueno currently. It is no bueno currently.
That is weird that they bought a ton of them to just mark them in their face like that. That's
yeah, like, and it
big middle finger to you, customer.
And I kind of feel like it's Susquehanna. Like, okay, you guys want more of those? You want more of those 26?
That could be a little bit of advertising. I find the customer
not busting on Susquehanna, nor they're savvy.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's like, or one house got to sell them, another house didn't.
Yeah, that's true. I find the customer doesn't respond well to that type of advertising, though. They're like, what the hell are you doing? I just paid 30 cents more for these or whatever. What are you doing? Now I got to buy them at this price. So yeah, that's a dangerous path to go down.
Yes, it is.
That's fun stuff. All right. So what do you think, listeners? You think you down for a strangle? Would you buy a strangle in Comcast right now, going out a little over a month and paying looks like $1.70 for the privilege? I mean, we've seen wilder things. Anything could happen towards the end of the year, but or you like straight up collar time, in which case it works out to be a little bit of a debit, but not much on those puts out there if you do it as a collar. But let's keep going out to, this is a name we haven't talked about in a while. In fact, when I saw it come across our Eye of Sauron, I had to go look it up for myself just to see. And when the last time we talked about this was, this is our old pal VIP Shop Holdings Limited. And this is yet another Chinese ADR. They are online discount sales. So, put them in maybe in the Temu category. That said, ticker symbol VIPS, VIPS. Trading right now 19 3/4, up about $1.10 or nearly 6%. So a good day for them. On the year, it's had a good year as well. $14 a year ago, so they're up about 5 3/4 exactly, or 41%. So a good run for them. They did bottom out in April at $12.14, and the high was $21 back in, looks like October 1st. So they've had quite the range, hanging out in the middle of that range. They did sell off to $17.50 on Halloween before rallying again. And looks like somebody coming in to the upside right now saying, hey, no 20s, how are they this morning? They got 50 cents at 85, and they said, I will trade 1,232 of these. Not a ton, but it's not a huge name at the end of the day. For 85 cents, the stock was a little bit lower, 1962. So if they scoop these, they got a little bit of the stock working in their favor. Also worth noting, they do get earnings on these. Earnings are on the 18th. So this could be a straight up roll of the bones on earnings. And before I get the Rock Lobster's thoughts on these, I should mention the last time we did talk about these, this name I should say, was back in December of 2022. Can you believe it? How long it's been? Almost 3 years. We talked about a similar trade. It was the VIPS upside calls. This time the stock was, or I should say that time, the stock was $12.43. So a little bit below where it is right now, almost $7, actually a little over $7 now. And someone was buying the 14s for 15 cents. And it looks like the stock closed a little bit below $14 on expiration, so these didn't exactly work out for gangbusters. But maybe our friend here will have better luck. Mr. Rock Lobster, what are your thoughts on the VIPS Nove 20s for 85 cents, sir?
I I have to say, it does not look like it's kind of a cheap punt for earnings. So I would say this is a cheap roll, as you would say, roll of the bones. Let's see, earnings are on the 18th. These expire the 21st. Yeah, and stock's up $1 today. So I think they're reasonably priced calls. And it looks like people are feeling a little frisky on Chinese retail right now.
Yeah, that is potentially the case. And you know what, listeners? We're always frisky for a little bit of the strategy block. So let's get to it.
It's time to dispense options, wit, wisdom, and education. It's time for the Strategy Block.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Strategy Block. It's Monday. Uncle Mike needs to plan his strategy for his O-line for the week, so he needs to get going. But before we do that, Mr. Uncle Mike, sir, what you got for us on the Monday edition of the Strategy Block, sir?
Closeouts. It's very important to close out short options oftentimes. We are coming into, if you're a monthly option trader and you are in some short premium for November, it's important that you understand your risk going into expiration. What I mean by that is, let's say that you have an option that you sold for $1 and it is worth a penny. You may want to consider paying that penny to get out of it right now, whether it's a short call, short put, short anything. The only reason with which you sell option premium is for the premium. There's no other reason to do it. Why would you sell option premium? Because you want to collect the premium. Once you've collected a certain amount of premium, then you really don't need to be in it. Question that I like to ask myself is that, would I get into this trade today if I was not already in it? And if the answer is no, I typically get out of it. Now, I'm not making reference to if you're trying to do a simple wheel scenario like what we do with our triple income. That's different. If you want to let the stock get put to you and you have no leverage on the line, things like that, that's different. But if you are in a calendar spread and maybe your November leg is worth a penny, it doesn't make sense to stay in it, in my opinion. Now, what can happen? Well, understand that if you hold something until expiration, by rule of the OCC, the Options Clearing Corporation, if an option is 1 penny in the money or greater, then it's going to be automatically exercised. So if you're long a call or long a put and it's in the money and you don't take any action on it, you are going to be the proud owner of that stock or the proud owner of a short position of that stock come Monday when you log into your account. And if bad things happen over the weekend, then bad things will happen to your account over the weekend. The other side of this is that if you're borderline and you're in a short option position in some way, shape, or form, and you go into expiration with it, be prepared to get assigned. So in other words, maybe your position is out of the money by a penny. And you're like, you know what? I want every penny I can possibly get out of this option. Well, that could be a very dangerous thing to do, because if the person on the other side of the trade sees that, oh, it's really close, I'm going to exercise it anyway, even if it's out of the money, you could be on the hook for it. So I'm not saying to always close out your positions, but if you're leveraged, I personally always close out mine. Make sure you have an understanding of how expiration works, how closeouts can work, as well as how assignment and risk can work. You have 1 week to get your stuff right if you are in November options, so take a look at it. That is all.
Uncle Mike says, get your S together as we keep on rolling into a little bit of Around the Block.
It's time to tell you what we'll be watching on our trading screens until the next episode. It's time for Around the Block.
All right, listeners, coming into the end of the show here, we have most of the indices hanging out close to where they were, maybe slightly higher from the start of the show. Dow up 2/3%, S&P up about 1 1/3%, NASDAQ up a little over 2, about 2.1%. VIX cash still hanging out right around that 17 3/4 level. Let's go out to our put friends really quickly out here. It looks like still 100% if you want to buy those Nov 18 puts for 71 cents. Not a single seller amongst you. Interesting. So getting that vol fade in. If you like those, get in quickly while the getting is good out. They might already be bid in your face. We shall see. As we go around the horn, Mr. Rock Lobster, sir, what are you keeping an eye on until the Thursday episode?
Well, I guess, does the government start reporting stuff again? Who knows?
That's the rumor. We're going to get a massive dump of data.
A data dump. We got some earnings this week. I want to look at sentiment. I want to see if the VIX curve normalizes and people believe this rally, and how high gold can go. Do we retake those highs? So I think the market is just shaking off, basically shaking off 35, 40 days of uncertainty with the shutdown. It'll take a little while, and then we'll see how little those congressmen can accomplish until the end of the year, until Christmas. I'm not holding out any great hopes, but the economy keeps chugging on, and it's as America stocks go up. So I am cautiously optimistic. I'm curious to hear what Mr. Tosaw says, but I am cautiously optimistic.
Yeah, because those 30 plus days of shutdown really crushed the market over that period. I mean, the market is spiraling into the red every session. Couldn't believe it.
Yeah, and I think historically the market usually did well on shutdowns, because that's 40 days the government didn't pass a law or spend money. So
we rally during the shutdown, then we rally coming out of it. I just want to make sure I have that correct.
Well, straight.
All right, and Mr. Uncle Mike, same question for you. What are you keeping an eye on until the Thursday episode?
I mean, I think we need to keep an eye on the shutdown news. I think we need to keep an eye. It's very news oriented right now, and continuing to see if we can possibly, I know this sounds crazy, but we could make a run at all-time highs again by Thursday.
You haven't said your catchphrase in a little bit. You must be bored, without being able to say
I don't even know what to do with myself.
I know. What do you do with your
anymore?
hands when you're not saying your catchphrase? It's got to be just wild stuff. That music means no more wild stuff here on the show. Don't worry, we'll be back in a little bit to talk all things crypto with our buddy on there, Uncle Mike's nemesis in life, Mr. Bill. So it should be a fun time. Stay tuned for that in a little bit if you're hanging out in the pro. And Mr. Rock Lobster, where should folks go if they want to be flashed to 3, 5, 7, 9, or 24 times?
You want to be multiply flashed, go to optionpit.com. Learn how to trade these options. I trade all the stud trades I put out. I do it all live, and then we close them and show you how this option thing works. I can't believe doing it now almost 15 years here with Mark and you, prior to my life as a floor trader, which was 15 or 16 years before that. So a lot of option time. A lot of option time, and you too can buy a lot of time in a dark alley with the Rock Lobster. Begin your journey, optionpit.com. Do you think I'm lying, listeners? Head on over there. Check it out for yourselves. You need to have a nice AI image of you with a trench coat going into a dark alley to sell those. I need something you could flash up there when you put out.
I think you would sell even more if you had that associated with it.
Possibly. All
right, check them out. Get flashed. optionpit.com. And Uncle Mike, I don't know if you offer any various degrees of flashing services, but if folks want to check out what you do have, where should they go? What should they do?
No flashing. We're a family business here at St. Charles Wealth Management. Go to stcharleswealth.com. I'll be more than happy to have a conversation with any of our listeners. Book an appointment with me.
stcharleswealth.com is the place to go. You know where to go to check out our friends here on the show. tastytrade.com. Slash podcasts is the place to go to see what deals they have in store for the extra special listeners of our network. You know they love you. And so head on over there. You get some fun deals. What's better than that? An option-centric broker who's offering some deals because they like you. Can't beat it. Head on over there. Tell them you heard about them from us. They'll make them very happy. And it goes a long way towards supporting the show at the end of the day, which we do appreciate. That's going to do it for us on the old OB. Back again, like we said, in a little bit for the crypto rundown. If you're hanging out in the pro, just hang out. Some fun stuff will be heading your way. I see a lot of debates about ASST and a bunch of other stuff in our chat. Lots of fun stuff. If you want to join the fun, head on over to the pro to do that, listeners. Back to wrap up the day as well with the Hot Options Report. Then we're back again for a lot of fun. I do believe the delayed European market brief is hitting us tomorrow, so that should be a fun one. Sometimes getting schedules lined up across the pond is a bit of a challenge, so I think we're coming at you 1 week late there, but we will have the EMB hitting you tomorrow. Then, of course, our usual array of content, including boot camp extravaganzas on Wednesday, and then we're back again on Thursday, Flowmaster in hand, another episode of the Option Block. Stay safe out there, everybody.
Old trading walks into a bar. New trading raises it. That's Tasty Trade. Keep focused with news feeds that matter. See opportunity differently in analysis mode. Chart your heart out with over 300 indicators. Plus, you can get low pricing, lots of education, and a support team that really gets how traders trade. It's no wonder Investopedia named Tasty Trade the best broker for options in 2024. Genius loves company. Go to tastytrade.com/podcasts and see for yourself. Tasty Trade Incorporated is a registered broker-dealer and member of FINRA, NFA, and SIPC.
You're listening to the Options Insider Radio Network. For more quality options programs, visit www.theoptionsinsider.com or search for Options Insider Radio Network in your podcast provider of choice. Listeners can also access all of our programming through our mobile app, available in iTunes and on Google Play.